Hello beautiful people, and welcome back. I know it's been a long while, but here we are. Today's tutorial we are going to look at how we are going to build this simple BMI calculator, and in doing this we are going to learn how to use a very interesting package called ScreenUtil. So just to show you the app, now if you don't know what a BMI calculator is, it's just a calculator that checks your body mass index to your weight. Okay, so if you look at your weight and then look at your height, depending on that you get to know whether you're obese, you're underweight, overweight, something like that. Okay, we'll look into more of how that is calculated later on. So for example, if I should just hit calculate, this is going to say I am overweight. Okay, and then we just custom this to our liking, and we can probably just increase just the height alone, and we are underweight here, so let's go ahead and increase our height. The age doesn't really matter, but it's just there to make it a little bit cooler, if I can say that. So I'm just going to increase this weight, okay, and this in centimeters. Okay, so I'm going to probably leave this there, and you can see this tells me that I am obese, and we can customize all of this. Okay, so we are going to be looking at how we can build something like this. Let me see if I can get something else still obese over here. Okay, so all of these no functionality, but it's just there so that it looks a little bit cooler. Okay, so let's get started with this. So I'm going to open up my terminal, and then from here, hope you can see this, we are going to create a new Flutter project. Okay, so I just need to make sure I am in the right directory so I can print the working path, and I'm inside this, and I'm going to cd into where I keep my studio project, so studio projects, and then in here I'm going to run the Flutter create, and then I'll call this let's say Flutter underscore BMI, and oh sorry, made a mistake in my Flutter, got confused a little bit, and then let's do that again. So this is done, so we are just going to cd into the Flutter BMI, and then we'll use code and then dot or period to open up VS Code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out of the terminal, and I'm going to drag this emulator this way, and what I'll do is I'll close the previous version here that should terminate this emulator, and let me just make this big enough so that you guys can see. Alright, so we have the usual getting started screen, which I'm going to get rid of, and we can navigate to the lib folder and our main.dat, and then we have all of these in here. So I'm going to get rid of all these comments as usual. So if you remember how we did this, I'm going to Control F to open up find, and then this is the find and replace. So I'm going to turn on regex also, so I need to find everything that is a comment, okay, just using this, and I'll replace it with just an empty space and replace all, and that should clear everything. I can close this now, and I can format this using Shift Alt F to format this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this just to see what we have. So I'm going to run without debugging, and that should run to this emulator. As usual, this will take some time, so let's just give it some seconds. Alright, so now that this is done building, we have the usual what do you call it, counter app. Okay, that works. So we need to go ahead and clean this up a little bit, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this entire class. And of course this doesn't exist anymore, and I'll just simply change this to Flutter Bmi body mass index, and I'll go into the lib folder and I'll create a new file, and then this is going to be our home page. So I'll be let's say our home screen .dart. I like to use screen for mobile and page reserved for like web. I just feel like that makes a lot more sense. Okay, I don't know. So for now, I'm going to start with a stateless widget. Oops. Before that, let me import material, and then I'm going to start with a stateless widget. And I don't know if it's a recent update. I remember this used to give us a container, but anyway, so I'm going to call this the home screen, and then for now I would return a scaffold. You know what, I'll just accept what GitHub Copilot, so that's Copilot here suggesting that for me, so I'm going to accept that. Then what I'll do is I'll come back to the main.dat, and then here I can get rid of this, and then I can call in my home screen. I'm going to save this, and now you can see we have the BMI calculator and we have the home screen as shown over here. Now before we go any further, I'm going to introduce you to the Figma file that I'm going to be using, because this is a simple design I made. I'll try my best to share this in the link. I'm not a Figma expert, but I guess I could do something simple like this. But the package we'll be looking at is ScreenUtil, so Flutter ScreenUtil. If you open up this package, this helps for adapting screen and font size. Okay, so let your UI display a reasonable layout on different screen sizes. So as you can see, these are some of the properties we are going to use. So there's a bit of setup to using this. So as you can see, to start, we need to return the ScreenUtil.init. Then we need to specify the design size. Now this is optional, if I can say that. So for example, this size here refers to the design file size. For example, if I come back here, you notice if I'm going to go with this Figma file, okay, then my design size, I'll have to enter the width and height of this, so that when I'm using this on another phone, then the ScreenUtil package can scale it up to that particular device. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, and you can see some of the properties that are right here that we can use. So when it comes to like font sizes and things like that, we can use for example, width, we can add this W to it, and this will give us like a proportion of this on other device if we should run this app over there. And you can see the same thing. So we also have SP for the fonts. Okay, so you get the idea. All right, so let's go ahead and install this package. So since we're already here, I will just copy this, and then we can head back to our pubspec.yaml, and if we wanted, we could clear this, but I think we can survive here. So the only thing I'll probably like to do is get rid of this part, and then I'll paste this in here. And this is about the only package we're going to install and nothing else. We're not going to use any other thing. So I hope that was successful. Oh, that's still running. Okay, so we can now head back. So let's close this. We can head back to our main.dat, and I'm going to make a few changes here. So under the theme data, I'm going to change my primary color. So I'm going to say primary color, and I'm going to use a custom color. So this is going to be a const and color, and I'm going to go with, so Copilot is suggesting something that I don't need, So I'm going to go with 0x, and then this is going to be ff. So these first two are always constant, and then I'm going to go with 0d2 b7a. So b7a. We're going to get the same color that we have, and if we go back to the Figma file, we can easily pick that color from here if I wanted to pick that. So you know, right there. Okay, so switching back, and if I should save this now, we really don't see anything happening, but we'll make use of this, and let me just add a comma and then save this, and that's good to go. Now if we refer back to the package, the initial setup requires that we return ScreenUtil, okay, and then we have like the necessary stuff in here. We do not really need to add all of these things, so that's exactly what we are going to do. So I'm going to grab this material app, I'm going to cut it, so Control X, and then I'm going to return the screen util init, and then this requires a builder. So before the builder, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the design size, and you know what, for the purpose of this tutorial I'm going to deactivate Copilot so that I don't get those interruptions. So inside here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the design size. Okay, so I'm going to say const, and then this is going to take a size, and I'm going to provide the width and height. So like I said earlier, if you are working with a design file, then you can select your file, and then you can check the width and height, and you enter exactly that over there. If you don't have any, this is an optional field, it's not required. Okay, but since I'm going with that file, I know my width is 360, and then my height is 800. Okay, so that is one part down. Then the next part, I'm going to create the builder. So this builder is going to be returning us a context and a child, so this wasn't necessary. And let me redo that. So the next thing here is I'm going to create a builder function. So this builder is going to take a context and a child. Okay, so whichever you want to go with, you can go with the arrow, or you can go with this. I'll use this since that is simpler to understand. Okay, so just like this, and then we are going to return the material app we copied earlier, just like this, and we can put in some commas here. Yeah, right there. I'm going to save this, and then this shouldn't change anything that much. Okay, nothing should really happen. And to get rid of this debug banner, let's go ahead and then we can get rid of it. So as usual, debug show banner, we can set that to false, and then we can go ahead and save that. And yeah, pretty much the setup is done for the main.dat and then the ScreenUtil. Now the next thing is we can head on to creating the home screen. So heading on to the home screen, I know that at the end I would have to create a stateful widget. Okay, so what I can do is, let me do that now. So I'm going to select the stateless over there, hold down the control key and press the dot, and then tell this to convert to stateful widget. Okay, and if we save this, this shouldn't change anything much. Okay, so now that we return the scaffold, I'm going to actually wrap the scaffold in a safe area. So let's wrap with a widget, and then we can call this a safe area. Okay, and with the app bar, what I'm going to do is I would center the text also. So to do that, we simply use center title and we set that to true. And then when we save this, we can see that's true, sorry. And you know what? I'm going to make this uppercase, so calculator. And I can save this and that should be in uppercase. Okay, almost done. So back into the scaffold, okay, I'll call our drawer, and we are not going to put anything in here, okay, but just for the sake of it, I'm going to use the drawer over there, and we are going to just say const a drawer. And it's that simple to create a drawer. Okay, I'm going to save this, and we'll click on this. Yeah, it's very simple to create a drawer in Flutter. Okay, so we are moving on slowly, and the next thing we want to do is we are going to create an action. So if we go back to our design, we have this over here, so we're just going to replicate that. Okay, not important, but just for the looks of it, we're going to do that. So for us to be able to create that, we do that in the app bar, and that is actions. And actions is going to take a list of widgets. Okay, something you should take note of. So what I'm going to do is create an icon button, and this is going to require an onPress function. For now, we just leave it now. And the icons we are going to use, this is going to be a const, and we are going to use icon, and the icon is going to be icons dot I keep forgetting, I think it's more underscore vertical, something like that. Put in some comments here. I'm going to save this, and yeah, we get that. So this is an icon button. Get it. So the next thing we are going to do is actually want to change the background color of this app bar. So I'm going to make a reference to this primary color, and if we've not done that in any of our tutorials before, then here's how we do that. So basically, you can set up all the things you want to use in here, including your font sizes and types and things like that. Okay, maybe another tutorial for that later. But then if you wanted to make reference to this specific color, well, I could just copy it and then go into the app bar and then set the color, paste it in there. So I can say background color and then paste that color there. But another way to reference that color so that we don't keep pasting is we can use the keyword theme and then dot of, just like that. So dot of context, and outside of the context we can use the dot operator, and you notice how we can access things like background color, card color, and things like that. These are all things we can access if we set them up. Okay, and right now what we are interested in is what the primary color, which we've set already here. I hope that makes sense. So if I save this, you can see we have that color being pulled up here. Okay, so we can make use of this a lot of times each time we need that color. Okay, so now when we come to the body of this app, we are going to get rid of the center widget, and then I would need some spacing around, so I'm going to say padding and open up my bracket in here. So the padding, of course, is going to take edge insets. So normally we would make this a constant, but the issue is because of the package we're going to use, none of those are going to be constant, so I'm not going to start with that. So I'm going to use a symmetric here. I'm going to use edge insets to symmetric, and horizontal spacing I need is about 16, and then so 16.0, and we can use the SP. Now if we use this SP, it will tell you it doesn't really know it, and the reason is sometimes when you're using this package, it doesn't really how do I say it, export the package for you. So what you can do is you can go all the way up, or you can go back to the package. Sorry, you can go back to the package and then grab the import. Okay, and let's go back to the top, and then we drop this in there, and now that is able to understand it. So I don't know why that happens. Usually when you enter in something, VS Code would normally just give it to you. So let me hide this a bit so that we can get some room. And then for the vertical spacing, we can go with something like let's say 24.0, and then we use SB. So that should be .sb, and I can save this. And you know what, let me keep this on one line, and then you know that's looking horrible, so let me actually just bring it down and then bring everything down here. Okay, so we've got our pattern. Now as much as possible you can make reference to your Figma designs here so that you know like the spacings that you need. So this is 16, okay, as you can see with the design. So it is all up to you how you want to start everything, and you can go pixel perfect, but I'm just going to try and hurry this up so you can see where I'm getting the 24 from. So the spacing between that, and here it's 16. So I hope you get the idea of how to work with this. Okay, alright, so moving on, the child of this pattern is going to be, you guessed it, a column, because we are going to place things vertically, so we are going to use a column for that. So a column is, as usual, is going to take children, and then go away, and I need to set this because I want the items in there to stretch. So I'm going to say cross axis alignment, and I'm going to say cross axis alignment stretch. If my screen is flickering, I don't know why that is, but I hope that doesn't show up. And then in the children, I'm going to create a text widget, and then this text and is going to say, and you know what, let me just grab this text and then return. I'm going to put this in quotes and paste this in here. So this text is going to say it wants to be a const and all of that. I'm going to ignore it for now because I'll be making some changes that will get rid of all of that. So after my text, I'm going to create a text style. So here we are going to call the all of these lines tend to confuse me at times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out, not inside, and then we are going to call this style, and then this is going to be a text style. When you need auto select IntelliSense to help you out, it is also doing whatever it wants to do. So over here I'm going to be using the font size. So first, and the font size I'm going to give this is about 16.0.sp, just like that. Okay, I know this is getting quite long, so let's quickly format this. I'm going to save this, get rid of this, so we can see this is popping up. So that's our text style, and inside here I'm going to give this a font weight. I'm going to give this a font weight of let's say W600, and I believe that's fine. And then the last thing we'll do here is, if you, so let me save this. If you look at our design, this is bold, sorry, this is aligned in the center, so that is exactly what I'm going to do. So get out of there, and we are going to say text align, and then we are going to say text align dot center. And if you save this, we should have this in the center. Well, that's looking okay. And let me put in a comma here to save that. Now that we are done with that text widget, we can go on and create the next item. Now, coming down here, we are going to create a size box. And again, I'm not using const, and you'll soon see why. And this is going to be a repeated pattern. So the height of the size box is going to be about 23.0.h. So for the height, and since this is just a simple thing, I'll get rid of this, put in a comma here, and save this. You wouldn't really see much. And then coming in here, so let's break this design down. We are going to be building this. Okay, so essentially this is a container. As you look at it, this is a container that has a row, a container that has a column and a row. A column to hold 1, 2, and the row itself, and then the row to hold these two widgets. Okay, so inside this container we are going to have two texts and another widget, and the widget will be a row. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, but in case there's any confusion, I'm sure we'll be able to figure everything out. It isn't really any complicated design, but we'll see how we'll build this. So what I'm going to do is I'll come in here, and just to demo it up, I'm just going to create a container here, and then this container is going to be of width. It's going to be of width. I'll just enter something, let's say 156 .0. So if it's width, then this has to be W, and then the height is going to be 215.0 h, just like so. So it is saying use size boxes for space and all of that, but we know why we are using this, so nothing is going to show up as usual. Then I'm going to go ahead and call for a decoration, and then we know the container usually uses a box decoration, and then inside here I'm interested in the border radius and then the color. So I'm going to call for the border radius, and the border radius is going to be border radius dot circular, and then we are going to give a radius about 8.0.sb. Okay, so let me add a comma here, and then let's save this. Still, we are not going to see anything. The next thing I'm going to do is add a color, and then the color is going to be the same color. So why don't we try using the theme dot of context dot primary color, like so, and then save this. And now you can see that we have what do you call it, our container. Now why is the container all stretched out like that? So that is because I added this option. So if I comment this out and then go ahead and save this, then this is what we have, as you can see, right in the center. Okay, now if you look at the design, if I can find it, if you look at the design, we have two of them. Okay, so essentially these have to be in a row eventually. Okay, but let's focus on just designing one of this. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is inside this container, so we have the container. I'm going to set up the child for this container. So this container is going to contain a child, and this child is going to be a column, and as usual we know a column is going to take children. Okay, so we know that the first child of a column is going to be a text, and for now I'm going to ignore all of these for the meantime. and I believe my design is a lowercase h, but for just the sake of it, I'm going to leave it as an uppercase h. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this style here. I'll make some changes to it, and then I'll simply paste that in here. Oops, I thought I pasted that. Okay, so I don't need this to be bold, so I can get rid of that. And we can't see that because it is black, so we can set the color to colors.white. And I'm going to go ahead and save this, and you can see we have the age in there. As a matter of fact, I think making this bold, it's better, so I'm going to grab that and I'll paste that in there, so that looks a lot better. So we have the age. Let me save this. So that's the first child, that is the text, and let me put in some commas here. So after this, we need another text. Okay, so I'm going to grab this text widget and then just paste it in here. So this next text widget is going to be, so if you come back here, this guy here. So what I'm going to do next is just make changes to this. So this is going to be 15, and we know the font size here is going to be bigger than that. So I don't remember what size was used here, so let's say that's 64. That's so big. So let's try that here and see how big that is. So 64, let's save that, and that's just fine. Why am I doubting my design? Okay, so we have this design right here. The next thing we would want to do is create these buttons. Now if you look at these, they look like the usual floating action buttons, okay? But then if we go through the Flutter documentation, it tells us that so this is the floating action button class. It does tell us to use at most a single floating action button per screen. Okay, so it isn't meant for a use case like this. Okay, it isn't meant for a use case like this. I'll show you how we can build our own custom button from the base widget that the Flutter floating action button was created. I'll teach you how to do that in the next tutorial. Stay safe.